Showcasing local talent, professionals, and everyday people making Salt Lake City what it is today. It's time for another episode of the I Am Salt Lake podcast.
Hey friends, welcome to episode 148 of the I Am Salt Lake podcast. I'm Chris Hollifield. Welcome to the show, however you found it. Thank you so much for listening, taking some time out of your day to listen to this episode. And if you haven't had an opportunity to listen to any of the other previous conversations that I've had with people here in Salt Lake, head on over to the website at iamsaltlake.com. There's also links for iTunes, Stitcher Radio. That way you could subscribe. That way you can get any of the new episodes sent right to your podcast device, however you listen to podcasts, or your smartphone, computer, however you listen to podcasts. Hey, this episode, Leigh and Rachel Kade from Frisch Restaurant joined me. We sat down. We had a great conversation, talked all about the restaurant. We even got a little bit into the Geekshow podcast towards the end of the conversation. Leigh Kade is one of the panelists on the Geekshow podcast. For those listening, if you haven't had a chance to listen to the Geekshow podcast, another great podcast from Salt Lake City here. Anyways, like I said, Leigh and Rachel Kade from Frisch Restaurant. They came over to my apartment. We sat down, we chatted, we had a great conversation. Frisch is located right at 145 East, 1300 South in Salt Lake City. Give them a follow on Facebook, Twitter. I'm going to put all the links on the show notes for this episode that you can find at iamsaltlake.com/148. That way you can connect with them and stay up to date on everything Frisch related. Hey, before I play that conversation, I want to give some love to our sponsors for helping keep this podcast alive, for helping keep it moving forward. The Urban Lounge, great concert venue located right here in Salt Lake City. Their website, theurbanloungeslc.com, is where you can find a complete listing of all the bands that are going to be playing there. You can give them a follow on Twitter, Facebook, all right online at the urbanloungeslc.com. Also want to thank Crucial Fest. Crucial Fest is coming up pretty much in about a week, depending on when you're listening to this episode. Crucialfest.com is where you can find more information about it. Going on right in Salt Lake City, the first weekend in June. Check it out. Got a complete listing of all the bands that are going to be playing Crucial Fest right at crucialfest.com. So anyways, like I mentioned, Leigh and Rachel Kade, they came over to my apartment. We sat down, we chatted, had a great conversation with them. So I'm going to quit talking, and why don't you guys join me as I sit down with them, get to know them a little bit better, as well as find out all about Frisch Restaurant. I want to find out, and if you don't mind sharing the story of how you guys even met. If we'll go back there first.
How we met?
How the story of Rachel and Leigh, kind of in a nutshell.
I love this story.
This is a good story. This story goes back 21 years. Our relationship's old enough to drink now. So,
well, congratulations.
Thank you. We're gonna take our relationship out and get it really drunk. I was working at the Beans and Brews on 5th East and 9th South. I was the night manager, and she was I
was one of many little redheaded girls that hung out there and smoked a lot and drank a lot of iced coffee and
listened to Pearl Jam.
Yeah, and sat there for hours on end. And Leigh would occasionally get angry when people wouldn't leave. It's one of my favorite parts of the story, actually, is that he would throw plastic chairs across the coffee shop. Be like, "We're effing closed." And I, of course, being 19 years old, was like, "Swoon, you're so angry. My mom's going to hate you."
She didn't hate me.
And she didn't. She actually really liked him. But yeah.
You know how it is. You work food service, right?
Yeah.
Place closes at 11, right?
You want
People are still sitting there at 11:45, and they're like, "Oh, we're all buddies. We're all buddies. We don't care. We're just gonna sit here and smoke and watch you work." And you're like, "Fuck you! I want to go home. I want to go home and smoke my own cigarettes.
I have a life. I want to get out of here."
Exactly. Do you understand what my life is? Not hanging out with you over coffee. But yeah, that's how it started.
I was cute. That's.
But she had a roommate who was a friend of mine also, and invited me over to their housewarming party. And so when the cops came, as cops do when you're 19 and you have a housewarming party, her friend, Juliet, basically shoved Rachel and I in a closet so that I wouldn't get kicked out of the house. And so we were just hanging out in this closet for half an hour talking while the cops were chasing everybody out of the house. There's like 50 kids in this apartment, so not much bigger than your place. And so
And from that moment, you just hit it off.
Yeah, we hung out until probably 7 o'clock that morning, and she moved in 2 days later. So into my house.
So the theory of moving in quickly doesn't always prove.
If your heart tells you, listen to your heart. If your brain's giving you second that's too soon, then listen to your brain. But this is a case where no matter what my brain might have said otherwise, I couldn't hear over what was going on emotionally. I was just like this person. When you sit down to talk with somebody, and 17 hours later, you don't realize you've been sitting on your kitchen floor talking for 17 hours straight, other than the occasional potty break. Well, then, that's somebody that you're going to marry. That's somebody you're going to spend.
When you want to have every waking moment with them and every conversation shared with them,
We didn't have a single day apart, an actual day apart for probably 15 years. Where we weren't together, So
yeah, we've never vacationed separately, or it was.
This is not how.
Occasionally, he'd work night shifts and stuff, and wouldn't be at home at night. But
when kids came into the picture, we always worked split shifts because we didn't want to use babysitters or anything. But we've always been together. That's just kind of how we're wired, That's was that line from Buffy the Vampire Slayer where Oz says that where she goes, there goes my nation. That's been me for 21 years now. I'll go wherever she's at.
It's awesome. Well, I've always thought highly of your guys' relationship and your marriage, and just you guys seem perfect together. Well, and you can see
close.
that.
She tempers my crazy, and I bring some crazy into her life. So,
what do you think has caused the success in staying together? I mean, it
sounds cheesy, but I think that we are friends first and foremost.
Yeah.
And that has, there is no one I would rather hang out with.
Yeah.
With the exception of maybe our kids. Our kids are definitely little versions of us, and so I hanging out with them too. But we just spent the past 3 days for the first time without our kids, because we have an 18-year-old and a 14-year-old now, and they went away camping, and it was our first, I think, kind of glimpse at what it will be like for us when they move away, when they're actually all the way grown up and move out. And I missed the kids, but I was like, but I still get to hang out with my best friend, and we
just hung out.
Yeah.
Walked around, did stuff.
I didn't realize your kids were that old now.
Yeah.
Gosh.
We
didn't
Max
either.
graduates in 3 weeks.
You're like, holy cow. I didn't.
Yeah. Our oldest graduates in a couple of weeks, and we're just sitting there going, when did that happen?
For the last 18 years, for the majority of our relationship, kids have been a big part of it, because, we did have kids pretty early on. But like I said, now I got a little glimpse of what it will be like to be an empty nester, and I think that I will miss the kids, but it'll be cool, though, because then we'll have even more time with
It's not like they're moving out.
Yeah,
they're not in a hurry.
They're going to live in the basement, right?
Yeah, probably forever.
And it's funny is I don't care. They can hang out. So
they're cool people too.
Really,
so
it's and some people have a hard time understanding this. We're not in a hurry to go do anything. And that's kind of the funny thing is, I kind of subscribe to the Shinto belief that you spend too much time pining for things and searching for things to be satisfied with what's right there in front of you. Life is not as complicated as we make it out to be. And if you are comfortable, if you're happy, and if someone brings you a great deal of joy, then why in the hell are you looking for anything more than that?
Exactly.
There's a simplicity to life that you can, and it's not that I'm settling for this relationship with this person at all. She excites me. She keeps my expectations in check, which is very important, because anybody who's known me longer than they've known me and Rachel knows that I tend to head a certain direction and go, and she can kind of keep that from getting a little out of control. So, which is nice, because that's how things like restaurants happen.
Yeah. which I want to, get into kind of the story with Frisch starting, and your new restaurant, the new location and all that. But I think the progression, like doing Grimmleighs, kind of helped lead into the restaurant. Wouldn't you say? Doing
it did in terms of us getting to know people in the community, and we're able, that helped with our networking with the Kickstarter and everything, to get the restaurant going.
But that's kind of how we've always done everything. It seems the entire time we've known each other, it's if anyone were to say, the Kades are getting in a car, they're going to be gone for a few hours. Get ready. Something's
there will be
coming.
A new business adventure on
Something's
the horizon.
coming out.
So was there anything before Grimmleighs then?
Sure.
Oh, well, we've toyed with different aspects of self-employment and craft businesses and stuff like that before that, even when we lived in Oregon and stuff. He was a
freelance miniature painter.
And, yeah.
He used to paint war games miniatures professionally, just because it was something to do. I don't like And I know she doesn't either. I mean, going someplace, punching a clock, and making somebody else money, it drives me absolutely
and I'm the same way.
Yeah.
I'm the exact, but there's people out there that are fine with it.
Well, that's safe.
Yeah.
There's a security in that. I mean, I don't miss that. I worked for corporate restaurants for years, and and that's what I did, and I don't miss most of it, but there is a security in it, in terms of knowing that you're going to get paid and knowing that kind of what to expect and stuff when you're self-employed or an entrepreneur. Everything is, I mean, for my personality, I like knowing what to expect, and I don't like too many surprises. So being an entrepreneur is kind of scary that way.
But isn't it nice to know the harder you work, the more successful,
and that it is
the
for
more
yourself.
money,
Oh,
the
sure.
better your business.
For the
And
most
at least
part.
you're not making someone else
you
money.
go and you put an 8-hour day in at a regular job, you can work hard. You're going to get paid the same as if you just work a little bit.
And
Right.
what does that do? That teaches, I managed a financial call center.
Yeah.
Before we launched Frisch, and my last year and a half there, I was in middle management, pulling $75,000 a year plus bonuses. Really comfortable work. But it was also.
But you were making somebody else way richer than
I was
you were
making somebody
us.
else a shit ton of money, and the people that were working for me and pulling in their 40-hour weeks, these guys learned a lesson that I didn't learn. And the lesson they learned was, hey, I'm making $15 an hour. I'm just going to go into cruise control, and I'm going to plug away at this, and I'm not going to work too hard. I'm not going to work too easy. And it's going to be the same thing at the end of every day. Whereas if I sit down to do something, I'm going to do it hard. That's just how I am. That's how I'm wired. So I end up in this shitty management position, making a ton of money for somebody else. I'd rather work really hard for me and for her. And, in the meantime, what happens? We have a 14-year-old kid who's got better customer service skills than most people you're going to find in their 30s because she grew up around it.
Absolutely.
It's like it was 100 years ago. If you own a business, your whole family owns a business, and they're all involved in that.
Back to Grimmleighs. Are you doing anything with Grimmleighs in at all? Custom orders of any sort, or has that kind of taken the back shelf?
It's kind of had to.
Yeah, it kind of has had to take a back shelf. We get requests every once in a while, and if we got a request that we got excited about, we might do it. But one of the things that we realized with Grimmleighs was, in terms of the amount of effort and hours that went into them,
It just wasn't.
It didn't pay off.
Yeah.
No, nobody. When we'd have to price it and say, well, nobody's going to pay more than $20 for this. But then when we really figured out how many hours, yay!
Got my Grimmleigh doll.
It's Chris.
Yeah.
When you realize how many hours went into it, how much we were making an hour and stuff, it's always hard when you make something to figure out a price for it and what people are willing to pay, and and then we had people giving them to their dogs to chew on and stuff. And when you work that hard and put your heart and soul in something, and somebody,
It was a great idea, though.
it was, and they're super cool, and I miss making them. And sometimes, like we got a request for a dog. If somebody wanted one of their dog, I would do something like that.
If somebody, and that's where I'm at with it now too, is I hand painted the faces on these things, and if I can capture somebody's likeness, then great. If I can capture the personality, we had a couple of dogs that we did that I just loved. It was
A couple of more memorial pieces, which
Biscuit
was nice.
and Bone.
Yeah.
Did you never did one of Falcor, did you?
I know.
We never did.
You should do one of
We
Falcor.
should. We really should.
I'll have you. I'll get a good picture of it.
Just like anybody else who knew Falcor, you kind of get you right there. So
Yeah.
there'll come a time when we're ready to take that one on.
Yeah.
He was a sweetie. If someone were to say, hey, my grandma and grandpa have been married 50 years and we want to do Grimmleighs of them, I'd do it in a heartbeat. I would do that before I would do the, hey, we've got $1,000. We'd like you to do this special Grimmleigh. I don't think for us it was ever about the money. It was the cool project.
It wasn't, but it was about feeling justified in how much you asked for it. And stuff.
Well, yeah, when you put that time and effort
Yeah.
in, and it's taken away from another source of profit.
And I think we kind of got to a point where, like, almost everybody who got Grimmleighs, who understood it in town anyway, they had one.
Yeah.
So I mean, we could have looked more into how we could expand that, and we could have had a better online presence and done more with Etsy and stuff like that. But just kind of think they had their time.
Some of them we were getting to a point where some of the smaller ones, because that's our motto ended up being, if kids had jobs, we would have been millionaires, because kids got it. Their parents didn't necessarily. And so we had the littlest ones, the squiddlies, the little octopus guys. And those were $10, and they'd take us about 2 hours to make. So, we're pulling $5 an hour doing it. And that's not counting marketing. That's not counting the shows that we would go to sell them at. You'd sit at Craft Sabbath for 6 or 7 hours fighting off homeless people. And you realize, this squiddly that sold, we actually pulled about $3 an hour on the time that we worked on it. And then you realize that's not what it's about. So you try to figure out ways to make it more streamlined, more assembly line-ish, and then it loses its charm to me. I don't know if anybody else saw that, but to me, I was just like, I don't love them anymore because they're too much speed in the production now, not enough heart going into it.
But like you said earlier, it was kind of the stepping stone to help you get to,
for sure. We met
Frisch
so many people when
the
we were
community
doing that.
networking.
Yeah.
So when did the idea start for the restaurant? I mean,
Almost 2 years ago, exactly.
2 years
No, a little
ago?
bit more than 2 years ago.
The idea for the restaurant?
I mean,
Well, the idea-
probably forever, right?
Well,
I mean,
we talked about it already in Oregon. We wanted to open a place.
Well, we both come from Central European families, and my great grandparents are Hungarian, and you show up at the house and it's food. She grew up in a house where they bake a lot, and a lot of her fondest memories of youth are sitting around with her mom making pies and cakes, and so yeah, we've always talked about opening a place.
And it was just a matter of the right time and the right place. And once we had, met so many people kind of in the, I hate to say counterculture or subculture of Salt Lake, but, that's a lot of who we got to know and stuff doing the Grimmleighs, like you were saying. And like Leigh
the
said,
vegan community tends to be a little more counterculture than there are the regular.
Sure.
Regular. I hate regular vegans. Non-regular. What?
Well, those are
I don't think any vegans are regular.
Those are the forks over knives vegans.
Yeah.
They're not like I'm doing this for the animals.
well,
they're doing it 'cause it's better
there's
for
a
my heart,
delineation between health vegans and animal rights vegans and all that. But
and we've learned to meet them and love them all.
Yeah. Yeah. But like he said, some of our best ideas come on long drives and stuff. That's going back even to what you were saying in terms of our relationship and stuff. We've always been, let's go for a drive and then get some crazy idea and talk about it for hours. And then next thing you know, we move to Oregon or move back to Utah or start a new business. And so this actually was on the drive home from New Mexico. We had gone to see my family in New Mexico and got talking about food trucks and vegan food. And maybe we should open a food truck. And was like 2 weeks after that trip.
Oh, you saw, we'd been back from Santa Fe for 4 or 5 days, and she drove by the old Rico's building and saw the lease sign on it. And neither one of us, we're not the kind of people that are just going to pick up the phone and call somebody on a whim. She was on the phone with the owner of the company and had arranged and actually put us ahead of probably another 30 or 40 people that are looking at the building. It was a cool old, cool
and
old
we had
building.
Our Kickstarter launched 2 weeks after that.
We had the Kickstarter off the ground 2 weeks later. Well,
I heard you guys. Well, that's the thing is I heard you guys talk. Next thing I know is it was like boom, you have a Kickstarter going.
Yeah. You've got a bank manager and a nutritionist from an elementary school.
Wait a minute, the Kades aren't screwing around with this. They're doing it.
We go 0 to 70 like a second.
Well, no, and that's what I love about you guys. Yeah. You're not talk.
No.
You're going to do it.
There was a lot of talking, but
you did it. I mean, so you guys launched a Kickstarter, and it was a success.
Yeah. Well, we figured out with the company I was working for, I had a pretty good amount of money tucked away in insurance, not insurance, but my 401k. And the funny part was when I started working for them, the economy collapsed in 2008. So that's the whole reason why I was self-employed, and the economy collapses. So I'm working for a Fortune 500 company, and it took my retirement. Shares for big companies were going for $4 or $5 a share because the economy was completely shot. So I started dumping 20% of my paycheck into my 401k. And all of a sudden, within 3 or 4 years, stock that's going for $5 a share is starting to go for 15, 20, $25 a share. So by the time it came time to do Frisch, I had about probably $25,000 tucked away in my retirement.
Nice. We
cashed that out. We did the Kickstarter for another 9, and that's where the restaurant came from. So there were no loans. We didn't go to a single bank. We didn't have to fill out an application for anything.
And that's what I think, like, one of the interesting parts of the restaurant is the community kind of coming in and saying, we want you here. We're behind
that was
this.
the cool thing because, you can look at, if you were to find our Kickstarter page, which I think still exists online, you would see, and it's people who bought Grimmleighs, who then we posted on our Grimmleighs Facebook, hey, we're going to open a restaurant now. And then those people were like, hey, I have a Grimmleigh. I'll totally give you $10 for your restaurant.
Yeah.
And
parents of kids from the open classroom.
Yeah, I was a lunch lady at the open classroom for years. And people were like, hey, you make my kids really good vegan food at school. I'm going to support your restaurant. People that listen to the Geekshow podcast, a lot of our contributors. And then there were people, what blew me away actually the most on Kickstarter is people that we've never met in our lives.
Oh, it's a guy from Alaska.
Didn't even live in Utah.
Don't live in Utah, are never probably going to eat at our restaurant, but they just gave us money. It was crazy.
One of the neat rewards I liked was the one how you can name one of the items.
One of the food items, and we kept him even when we moved the restaurant. We had an opportunity where if we had said, this isn't working, we can
we
get
have a
rid
few
of
of them that are still named.
we kept them. All right, wait, let's see. Our accountant, Barton Moody, he wanted a
still
curry
has a
salad named after him. So the Barton is still lovingly named after Barton. And then
the fancy boy, of course.
The fancy boy.
That's named after Jimmy and Kat's dog.
Yeah, they had their dog Elvis, and that was his nickname. And that was, that I think with Frisch in particular, I mean, it's a labor of love. Anytime you throw, you know this from your podcast, anytime you pour your heart into something, it's so cool when people get it. But then when not only do they get it, they support it before it's even off the ground. When people are willing to say, we're gonna throw some money at this and push you guys along.
And then continue to. I mean,
to this day,
Like, I really don't think that all of our customers or our regulars are even vegetarians, but they're just folks that we know from the community, either from Geekshow or whatever, that come just because they like the food, obviously, hopefully.
The biggest, on the reviews I see, it's like, I'm not even vegan, but I love it. It tastes delicious. You can't even, it's like, it tastes like the real thing.
Right.
That's my favorite saying, too. So I'm not even vegan. I was like, I'm not going to hold that against you. No, we're not going to preach. We're not going to throw the PETA literature at you while you're eating.
But that's what I love about you guys, too, is that you're not like those type of vegans that...
I don't think most vegans are. I mean, it's just like any other...
I got a little, during my vegan days, I got a little vegan police.
But how old were you?
Yeah, I was like 17, 18, 19 years old.
And I'll tell you what, when I was 19, 20 years old and I was getting into certain things and starting to see those bigger truths that we see so potently when we're that age, you do get a little militant about it.
Yeah.
Well, I think, though, in general, you get the saying is that you get more flies with honey, so in our case, we try to get more flies with agave, or just with yummy food, like that's our outreach, is that not showing you a gross picture of a sad, those exist, and if somebody wants to see them, they can find them, and if that helps them to understand and make the step to being a vegan, that's awesome. But I would rather kind of draw them in with yummy food. And
I look at every meal that somebody eats in our place as a victory. I mean, sure, we're in it. We're compassionate vegans. We don't want to see suffering of animals, but that's the end game for us. Anybody who comes into the restaurant and eats there instead of at the Sonic across the street from our place, that's a win. That's a win.
Absolutely.
And it's not just a win for the compassionate side of it. It's a win from the health side of it too. You're not eating processed food.
It's a win for their blood pressure.
Yeah, it's a win for their cholesterol.
So somebody who hasn't been there, let's talk about your menu a little bit. Like, what can they find there? What kind of food items are there? What are your hours even, actually? Because I know you guys just started doing morning now, right?
Yeah, we started doing morning, and it's funny because we get people come in, what do you have for breakfast? I have a breakfast burrito, and that's it. I'm not going to branch out from that. I make a mean breakfast burrito.
Like, what's in the breakfast burrito?
It's roasted Yukon Gold potatoes, black beans, bell peppers, and a tofu scramble that does not quit.
It's the best tofu scramble because it doesn't taste like tofu.
Yeah,
I don't usually like tofu scramble, but his tofu scramble.
I use volcanic sea salt in there, so you get a little bit of sulfur because that's essential to eggs. Eggs have a little sulfur content to them. Well, you do your chemistry, you start looking at what you can do to get some of these taste profiles in the food. And so I make a breakfast burrito. I'm not going to reinvent breakfast for you. Breakfast burritos are great. They're portable. You throw them in your backpack and take it to school with you, whatever you have to do. And
that's kind of our philosophy with our menu in general, is that we're not going to be everything to everybody. We all know there are other vegan restaurants in town. There are other vegetarian restaurants in town.
And they're really good.
Yeah, and they're really good, and we're good. But, everybody's kind of doing their own thing. Like, we don't do small plates. We don't really do anything all that fancy. We do comfort food, but we try to do a little bit healthier comfort food, so it's not going to sit in your belly. It's not diner food, but it is comfort food. We don't have a fryer. We'll never have a fryer.
Kind of our philosophy is that we want to go with plant-based food that's not going to break the bank. If you can't pronounce it, we don't want to serve it. We don't want you to have a PhD to understand what you're about to eat. And that's, I think, a large part of the problem with the American diet in the first place, is that it's so chock full of preservatives and
half the words you can't even say.
Yeah, exactly. And if you can't pronounce it, don't eat it. That's kind of a good rule of thumb to live by. So we use, for instance, a lot of people use seitan as a meat replacement. We found a company in Central Oregon called Butler Foods. They make a product called soy curls, and it's just soybeans. That's all it is.
Soybeans.
And
Organic.
they are delicious.
Yeah, it's organic soybeans, and they basically pulverize these things. They roll them out in sheets. They dehydrate it, and then they cut it into strips. And then when we soak it in whatever marinade we want to, just like you would with chicken, and we cook it up just like you would with chicken. And I've had construction workers argue with me about whether or not it's really chicken. It's not
but it's not like a creepy too much like
it's not so much like it that it's going to freak you out.
Yeah.
Well, even the texture of it, that chew.
Yeah, and
I've had plenty of it.
It's good stuff, but
and so it's good crossover food for people who are like, do I want to be? I want to try it, but I really love meat. Well, then try this, and
you put that.
It's
like
not a dead ringer, but
wraps that
we have.
those go in the wraps.
We have kind of an Asian inspired wrap. It's a sesame wrap, so that has sesame seeds, and it's served with some avocado and some fresh spring greens. And we have the fancy boy wrap, and that's with like a chipotle pepper sauce. We do a dill wrap that's like your 90-year-old grandma's specialty Thanksgiving dill salad that you can have as a wrap. So those we do, and then we do our mac and cheese stuff, and then we do a lot of actual just really good gourmet salads that people can get into. If you want to experiment with quinoa, which a lot of people don't really know much about, we have a quinoa salads, and that's a complete protein.
Or even how to pronounce it.
Or how to pronounce it.
A lot of people see that.
Quinoa.
Yeah, I would like the canoe salad, please. But there's a lot, and we can talk to you about the food and the nutrition too. So we don't specialize in allergies. That's the one. For some reason, the vegan thing has been lumped in part and parcel with food allergies,
like gluten-free,
oil-free, soy-free is my all-time favorite. Don't come into a vegan restaurant looking for soy-free, because that's I'm sorry, we use it. We get them, but there's not a lot we can do for you. We'll have some suggestions, and we might have one or two things on the menu that we can help you with.
We do have a few, and a lot of our specials. So we have like the regular menu, which is mostly wraps and salads, and all of which are pretty hearty too, which I think is an important thing that we do. Is that it is a good value for your money. Nobody leaves hungry, and we have a lot of to-go boxes going out the door because it's all pretty good size.
People come in and like, it's going to be vegan. I'm going to order. My girlfriend and I are going to order
burritos.
3 things.
So
it's like
4 wraps.
I'm sorry, dude. That's more food.
You better get a lot because it's vegan, and I just roll my eyes and bring them a to-go box when I bring them their food because I know they're going to need it. So, and then we have different soups every day, and then daily specials too. So, like Tuesday we do tacos, and a lot of people think you have to have cheese and meat in a taco, and you don't. I make lentil tacos and
we play
cauliflower
with
tacos, and
that's I think the most fun that both of us have is we have a real appreciation of what food can do, and so we kind of approach it with an adventurous spirit, and that's what food should be. You should have fun with food. When you sit down to cook every day, have fun with what you're doing, pour some passion into it, get experimental. And so we have chia pudding, for instance. That was the one that was just a crazy
like the easiest
experiment.
thing in the world, but it's
delicious.
Yeah, it is delicious.
I love it.
And it's so good for you, but you don't even have to think about how good it is for you while you're eating it.
And it's fun. And we had what was it when we decided we wanted to do a barbecue wrap? The whole thing behind barbecue is let's experiment. Let's do something different with it. So we use pineapple instead of a bunch of sugar. So a lot of your barbecue sauce uses brown sugar, and it's like let's use pineapple instead.
But what makes you like? How do you come up with that? Like
you just
start thinking. Okay, pineapple. It tastes good with that.
And you read. There's with the information age full on. You can go to Isa Chandra Mauskowitz her post-punk kitchen website, and it's a completely vegan website with thousands of recipes. You can just get on there and go, okay, I'm going to adapt this. Or you just drive down the road and you think, pineapple, that's perfect. We have a signature drink that, as corny as this sounds, came to me while I was walking to work. It's like, what if we put coconut water and iced coffee and agave and coconut milk together? What would that taste like? Got to the restaurant, put it together. It was amazing, and it's been on the menu ever since.
Because you guys have got like a cappuccino machine now too.
We do, yeah.
Right? Yeah, that was one of the new things with the new
location. We have so much more space, and then Leigh's childhood friend Wade, who helped us out a lot with the remodeling and stuff that we did of the new location. He's always wanted to open a coffee shop, and we were like, well, hey, go buy an espresso machine and have it here. So
that's kind of our way of paying it forward. We've had so many people help us out. And here's a guy who just hated what he was doing. I was like, come be part of this. Yeah. Same with Kelly Green, who owns Cakewalk. We have a little extra space. Move the bakery in here.
And that's a win-win too, because I mean, both of those are win-wins. Those they have somewhere to operate their business, and we have the chance now to offer our customers coffee and pastries, and we don't have to make them, which is nice.
Yeah, it's all Frisch. It all falls under that umbrella, but it works really well because we don't. They can operate their own portion of the business. We don't have to branch out the umbrella quite that far, but at the same time, they have a safe place to operate without having.
It's kind of communist of us.
So backing up just a little bit, what was the biggest reason for the move? Is it a bigger spot or just it was necessary?
It was necessary. I mean, there were some things that people who were in control of the old building had kind of a different vision of what they wanted to do with the space, and more power to them. And we're also at a spot where we could not accommodate the number of people who wanted to eat at the old restaurant. We only had 4 parking spaces. And you don't, once we moved into the new place, which has, I think, 700 parking spaces, I'd have people say, yeah, I stopped coming because I have a 25-minute lunch after I get out of my parking garage. I don't have time to drive around the block looking for a place to park for your new spot. So that came into place. Some of the space in the old building was unusable. Like we were actually paying rent on a basement that you had to use an old trap door to get into.
Yeah, I didn't even know that was there, and then when I was hoping you guys move out of it, I was like, oh, this is kind of interesting.
There's a creepy trap door in the floor.
There's 500 square feet you can't use. Fantastic. So
so it wasn't our idea to move, but I think it was the best thing we ever could have done, and it was time to do it. So.
Yeah. It was scary. I mean, I'm not going to pull punches on that. We almost
you had to close shop for a little while.
We had to close shop for 6 weeks.
And moving is expensive, and remodeling a new restaurant is expensive.
Yeah, and
you figure most restaurants. I mean, I don't know what the statistics are on a business or a new restaurant like before you start actually making money.
5 years.
5 years usually before you're in the black, and so then to take on a bunch of new expense by moving, was not ideal, but.
We were in a situation where by not having taken on loans, we were not in debt really, but you have your month-to-month operating costs and you have the expense that comes along with that. And then you have what I like to call the dipshit expense, which is I made some mistakes, we're paying for them, so those came along too. So after a year and a half, we're all of a sudden moving with about a month and a half to find a new place, secure a new lease, and I guarantee you we decided we were finding a 5-year lease. We're not doing anything that's any shorter than that.
Get removed again.
And
the new space was rough. It was beat up. They put so much work into it. I mean, it was like a $5 pizza place, and it had been empty for 2 years, and it was in bad shape.
We had heating ducts hanging out of the ceiling. Tiles missing.
It was dirty.
The floor was all ripped up. Somebody had taken a sledgehammer to the walls. It was pretty thrashed. So.
But I think it's a better location.
Oh, it is. I mean,
right off of State Street.
Yeah,
there.
I would say that we have probably. I don't know. He knows the numbers. He's the number guy. But I mean, it tripled our business.
I wouldn't say we tripled. Yeah, it's
tripled,
close to double what we were in the old location.
Well, and it's still. I mean, it barely. I mean, how
we've
long
only
has
been
it
open 3 months.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. No, we're seeing we've broken every sales record that we had in the old location, and we're progressively busier. And part of it's that we have increased our hours. Part of it's because, because if I actually break it down, how much of that is from the bakery and how much of that's from the coffee, we haven't really doubled our business by any means. We've increased the number of people that come in because we've specialized. We've brought in more specialty items that'll bring people into the door. So that's been good.
But yeah, it's a way better location. We have people that never even knew we existed before are coming now because we're more visible there. Like he said, better parking, and then and a lot of all of our regulars have come with us too, which is nice because I was a little bit worried about that.
We didn't lose our regulars, which was great. Mm-hmm. I'll tell you the scariest thing though is the old location had been closed for 2 weeks, and nothing more entertaining than being an unemployed vegan chef. So. I was at the new location. It was about 11:30 at night, and I'm on my hands and knees laying tile, trying to get some tile straightened out. And this guy's pounding on the door, and this was my first real impression of the neighborhood. You think State Street and 13th South in Salt Lake. You're not, if you know the area, it's not an area that you're necessarily going to associate with wonderful location by any means. So there's a guy pounding on the door at 11:30 at night. And I was like, oh, geez, what's going on? And I opened the door, and he says, can I use your bathroom? I'm like, no, I'm sorry, you can't use the bathroom. Can I use your phone? I don't have a phone, buddy. Do you have any job openings? I was just like,
all right, just go for the goal.
Oh, God, what are we doing? So, in a month later, we opened the doors, and it's been fantastic. I mean, I actually can't believe how accommodating we've got some really good neighbors in that shopping center. We're right by the Shanghai Cafe, and some people who are already living the vegetarian life or the veggie life are already familiar with that shopping center. But just we've got good neighbors that are good customers, and people have found us just fine. And
was there any hard part? Or did people think like maybe you just disappeared?
Yes.
Yeah,
I mean, did you hear those stories?
This last week, somebody was like, "Oh, I thought you guys were closed and didn't even know that you would reopen."
The
word is still getting out. Yeah, that's what I said. I was like, "Do you have internet?"
We get calls from people at the old location. They're like, "Yeah, your sign's down, but you answered your phone." It's like, well, you had to get the new phone number from our website, which is right under the new address. So
you even have a new number now.
Yeah,
a new phone number.
Yeah.
You weren't able to just transfer that. that. No,
I think that we're so niche that, I mean, I think people wanted us to succeed, but then when they thought that we closed, they were like, oh, I knew that place wouldn't make it. Well, crazy kids opening a vegan restaurant, and then like, what? They're still open?
Let's look at that, though. I mean, when we opened, there were 7 or 8 vegan restaurants in town, and 3 of those are gone now. And not only that, this is... When you first open a business, any business, you think to yourself, okay, these guys over here are our competitors, right? And you start thinking about your competition. And then you get to know your competition. So we've got, I'm going to name names here. We've got Alex and the crew over at Bud's. Those guys aren't competition. They're our friends.
Yeah.
And
it's like a family.
Yeah, I don't want to see those guys fail at all because I love these kids. They're great people, and I love having a place that when I'm sick of eating my own restaurant's food, I've got another place to go.
And I'm sure they're at your restaurant.
They come to our place all the time.
Oh my gosh! And they've like bailed. It's very reciprocal. We bailed them out. They've bailed us. Like we ran out of soy curls, and they use soy curls too. So we were like, Alex, can you loan us 2 pounds of soy curls?
Alex shows up with a 12-pound box of soy curls, and we're like, I love you, thank you.
So we've totally like helped each other a couple times.
So one of these places goes out of business, Cafe Supernatural by Trolley Square, and it went out of business. And I remember at first, and anybody who lives in Salt Lake, Ian Brandt, you know Vertical Diner, Sages.
Yeah.
This guy has poured his heart and soul into the vegan community, right? And one of his restaurants goes under. And, maybe when we first opened, I would have been like, one competition down. No, that didn't happen. His place, they closed up their doors, and I was heartsick for hours afterwards because, I think after
one less place we can eat for one thing.
One less
That's the thing is everybody brings something different.
Yeah, and they were totally different than us. I mean, they were gluten-free, much more juicy, healthier.
I think when you do open your own business and you're running your own books every day and you're seeing, for instance, okay, geez, your business brings in $20,000 in revenue that month and $19,742 of that went right back out the door, and you're just going, oh my God, I see how much heart, soul, and passion goes into operating a business, and that's gone.
Yeah.
Any of them. And it's not even, I'm not even thinking about vegan restaurants anymore. There was that
stupid little pasta place that closed on 4th South. I was so sad because that was someone's dream.
That was somebody's heart and soul.
It wasn't very good, and I didn't like it. But I was so sad for them that they had to close. I mean, and they were open less time than we were.
They opened after we did, and they were closed before we opened our new place. And it just gutted me seeing that because you start getting that empathy of what it takes to actually pull a business up. You don't just open your doors. And this is something I've had a couple of really strong hearts with people that, they get into business and they're just like 2 months later, like, we're really struggling. It's like, you're going to struggle every day that you're open. You're going to struggle every day, even after you're squarely in the black. You're still going to struggle. You're still going to have bad months. It's not you open your doors, turn on your lights, and start making money. It doesn't work.
Or if you have a good week, don't run out and spend all your money. Save it for a rainy day.
No. If it was easy, everybody would do it.
Yeah, and we have people question us all the time why we're not open on Sunday.
Well, you need a day off.
Well, even then the second, hire people. It's fantastic. Where's that payroll coming from? Oh, Sunday pays for that. It's like, what if it doesn't?
Yeah.
What if then calls in sick?
Have you tried Sundays at all?
No.
Dabbled in it at all?
Sunday is not going to happen because the last aspect of it is my personality and her personality. If the restaurant is open, we're working, even if we're not there. I'm on. We use a point of sale system called Square, which is a great system. A lot of the crafts people use it, but I can in real time check everything that's happening at that restaurant. I can check sales. I can check and see what's selling. So if I'm at home and she's at home,
You're just hitting refresh.
I'm just hitting refresh.
Constantly, it's pathetic.
Yeah, and it's like I remember one afternoon. It was a Friday evening. We're sitting down to watch. We just had dinner and we're sitting down to watch a movie. And I pull up Square and I look at it, and the sales numbers had just gone through the roof. And I was like, sorry, I'll be back. And I just took off to the restaurant. Of course, our night crew had it. They were laughing at me when I walked through the door because they made bets on whether or not we were going to show up. But you can't
it's
rest
your baby.
when it's
You
open.
don't let it. Yeah.
How many? I mean, you have a handful of employees now.
We have 5 now.
You have 5 employees. I mean, I remember when you hired your first employee.
Yeah. Allison was
And we
our
still
first.
have her.
Is she still there?
Yeah,
Yep.
absolutely. She's my right-hand girl.
Yeah, she's fantastic, and that's one of the lessons we learned. And we've had a couple other people that have worked with us and have since moved on, and they were great too.
Well, I know when I've gone in there, I'm like, well, who are these new people that the Kade's hired? You know what I mean? I'm just like, where's Leigh and Rachel?
We're trying to hire all the cute, quirky vegan people that we can.
Yeah. We've noticed that that we're hiring within the vegan community.
Yeah.
And these guys, they are invested. They are thoroughly invested because it's to them, it's part of their own personal mission statement. It happens to be the restaurant's mission statement too. So.
I've heard that Salt Lake is one of the like vegan friendliest cities.
Well, that was one of the things.
Yeah.
Before we did the Kickstarter, when we first got the idea, there was actually an article in like Veg News magazine that said that Salt Lake was the big up and coming vegan city in terms of vegan friendly businesses.
Why do you think that is? Why?
Because in Salt Lake, this is our theory. I'm going to share our theory.
We have a theory.
Yeah.
You have a theory.
Nobody does anything half-assed here.
Yeah.
Nobody has one tattoo. We have tons of tattoos. Yeah. I'm going to get my ears gauged this big.
When the guys from Stretch Armstrong showed up,
Yeah.
the ska band a couple summers back, they showed up and like only Salt Lake City could host a ska revival show from bands that have been
Very true. Ska was huge here back in the
and
day.
it still is.
I feel like the counterculture here is so gung ho about everything, So like we have the best vegans because
Well, look at Angela
we don't
Brown at
mess
Slug
around. Magazine,
right? Angela says, and she and a couple other people got together and said, let's do something cool. Let's do a DIY craft show. Let's do Craft Lake City, right? We were there. Mm-hmm. First year. Thing's huge.
It blew out of the water. I mean,
that doesn't
ridiculous.
happen. Look at Salt Lake Comic-Con. The thing was supposed to be down at the Sandy Expo Center. Okay, a couple thousand people they're expecting. Within a couple of weeks, they're like, we're going to have to go to the Salt Palace. We'll take half the Salt Palace. Within a month, we need all of the Salt Palace. Can't have it. 6 months later, they do FanX, and it's the third largest geek gathering, Comic-Con ever. And then when you break it down per capita, they actually had more people by population showing up. We have the same with the vegan population here. More vegan restaurants per capita than any other city in the country. So we don't mess around here.
It's an interesting city when it comes to some things. It's just like it just blows you out of the water.
And
it's
I feel like if it's something that is kind of counterculture-y, then we support it even more, that it's...
Well, and part of it with the arts, I think some people are going to be a little surprised to hear me say this, but with the cultural background here being as, say, religiously restrictive as it is, it's still very artistically inclusive. So you'd have your family gets together for family home evening. They're going to do their piano recital.
Absolutely, why I think the craft and the DIY thing is so big here is that definitely taps into the Mormon count.
And then the other side of that sword being that it can be a little harsh if people start to express their individuality maybe a little too much. Then people will, I think, rebel a little bit harder than they would in another city. So I remember Rachel and I, the first year we were back from Oregon, we'd gone to the gay pride rally in Portland, and it was pretty cool. You show up in Salt Lake, and it's not Salt Lake's gay pride parade, man.
I've heard Salt Lake's one of the biggest.
Yeah, and I think it has a lot to do with just the background that we have here culturally, is considering how, I wouldn't say repressive, but how conservative this state can be. If someone, oh man, mom, dad, I'm gay, then the reaction is not necessarily going to be as maybe as acceptable as it might be in some other cities like Portland or San Francisco or Los Angeles. Here, it might be a lot more punitive.
I do think you also can't discount the health factor. I mean, whatever our individual reasons for our veganism are, I think the growth in a vegan diet and people living a plant-based whole foods diet, people's eyes are really being opened everywhere.
Oh, absolutely.
In terms of, the factory farming aspect and all that stuff. And I just think that's Dr. Oz even says it's a good idea, so then I think that's really helped a lot with people. Because, like I said, not all of our customers or our regulars are by any means vegetarian or vegan, and not all of them are ethical vegans either. We do get a lot of people that come that are, either just trying a plant-based diet for a while or recovering from cancer and trying a plant-based diet to hopefully reduce the reoccurrence of their cancer, or lowering their blood pressure. Or
those are our favorites. We don't know who the doctor is or if it's doctors, but there are certain customers who come in who are in their 50s or 60s, and they've had a lifetime of making bad food decisions.
Yeah.
And their doctor came in and
caught up with them.
Said, "Hey, buddy, let's look at your next 5 years of life. What's your plan? Oh, I want to live. I want to see my grandkids graduate high school. I want to do this. Well, you're vegan now. Yeah. Oh, I don't want to do that." I was like, "Fine, die."
There are a couple oncologists in town and several naturopaths in town that are really, promoting a whole food, plant-based diet. And then, and you also, movies, you can't discount movies like Forks Over Knives and Food Inc. and stuff. Those are all on Netflix now, and people are watching those and going, holy shit, I didn't know that's what they did to the cows, and it's definitely it's opening people's eyes,
Well, it's a lot easier to be vegan nowadays, too,
for
versus when I dabbled in it 20 years ago.
Yeah.
It was very difficult. I was, I'd get excited. Oh my gosh, we're offering a vegan option on the airlines.
Right.
And
You're so excited
that
that
would
you didn't
get
have
me
to-
excited.
And that
You didn't have to scrape the cheese off. Yay.
Yeah, now it's everywhere.
Yeah.
I remember when we first went vegetarian.
Yeah.
And that was 17 years ago. And we were so excited because the town we lived in had a large Seventh-day Adventist population. So they had the Loma Linda canned fake meats at the grocery store. We're like, oh my God, and get the fake Vienna sausages that aren't really sausage.
Did you ever try the tuna that they had?
It's terrible.
It was, it was pretty
We
rough.
had this special at Frisch that I called Tuno that I named after that stuff. It's much better than that stuff.
Our friend Shannon, I mean, it's so funny. I remember we brought cupcakes from Cakewalk once to a Geekshow recording, and Shannon's like, hey, vegan cupcakes are made of sawdust. And then he ate one. He's like, that's really good. That's really, really good. So I can understand why you would think that, because if your exposure to this cuisine was from what was available 10, 15 years ago, it was made of sawdust, repackaged, reprocessed, and rehydrated sawdust.
Yeah.
So,
well, and if somebody like Shannon says, hey, this is a good cupcake, it's good.
Yeah, this guy knows.
He's not going to lie or BS to you.
no.
He knows his cupcakes.
He knows his cupcakes.
Definitely. So it's funny, just how much when we flipped that vegan switch 6 years ago. I thought, okay, we just don't eat cheese, we don't eat milk, we don't do this, we don't do that, and then
There's so much more to it.
we'd get these. We went here, get this little message. Yeah, that's not vegan. What?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah,
And now
it's definitely a learning curve.
Now we have the app.
Yeah.
We have the app with the 26,000 items that are safety.
What app is this? Just in case
What is
people
the app?
aren't
Oh
familiar
my gosh,
with
I
it.
can't remember.
I know Happy Cow has.
Well, Happy Cow is a great app for finding, like when you're traveling and stuff, to find vegan restaurants. There's an app out there, I can't remember what it's called now, and there's one that you can actually like scan a UPC
It'll tell you whether or not there's
on
animal
the
ingredients
packaged
in the
food,
pack.
and it will tell you, because a lot of those things, you have this huge ingredient list, and you know that casein is milk.
But we
that it's-
didn't.
But I didn't at first, no. But you don't know whether or not the mono and diglycerides are animal derived or plant derived.
Absolutely.
And so
yeah.
there's actually apps out there now that you can scan the thing and it will tell you. And that's very helpful. It makes it a lot easier than reading every single label. I mean, you still do, but
Or then you have your moments of victory when you go to Costco and realize that their sugar is vegan. It's like, oh my God, it's not. What are we gonna do? It's inexpensive vegan sugar, and a lot of people out there listening are going, vegan sugar? What the hell are you talking about, buddy?
Google it.
So what's in store for Frisch? Where do you see it going? I mean, do you see more locations opening? Would you like more? No, you're shaking your head no.
But that's our
It's
own
really
fault.
hard.
It's really hard.
I'll
We're both way too much a control freaks to, I think, ever have another location unless one of us could be at each location all the time.
we're so hands-on, and
Yeah.
that goes back to the whole
Hands-on
Sunday.
is a nice way of saying control
Yeah,
freak.
that's corporate talk. When we get that question about Sunday, people say, why won't you be open on Sunday? And it's because we're too hands-on, and I would have to be there, or I would have to be checking the numbers at home and making sure that things weren't going wrong. If we were to open, we get people all the time saying, oh, you got to open in Sandy, you got to open in Park City. For one, I don't think we'd make it in Park City. I think we'd crash and burn in Park City. And I've had
Although
people,
I'm surprised there isn't a bigger vegetarian vegan presence in Park City.
I'm surprised at that too.
So is the vegan population up there. They come down to Frisch a couple times a week, and there's not I don't think there's enough in that area. And plus, the outlying community is real Bubba. That's real. You get out to.
But if we were in Park City, we could charge like $15 for the same sandwich that we charge $8 for.
Yeah, we could. And it's also a seasonal town too. So you're dealing with a town that's empty for a good chunk of the year.
But you could get like a seasonal location,
Maybe.
pop-up shop.
Maybe.
Yeah. We've talked about maybe doing an event cart thing.
Yeah. Well, because
So that
we
we
could.
So there's a lot of ideas in
Yeah.
Oh, there's a lot
There
of
won't be
ideas.
another location, but we've talked about, like maybe having a presence at Farmers Market, not necessarily having a food truck or anything like that, but some kind of a cart that we could do like special events in Farmers Market and stuff like that.
Just have salads and wraps ready to go.
Yeah.
We're going to be open Saturday nights. That's our next big move. Is we close. And it's because we're there 6 days a week. So
We close early right now on Saturdays, but we're going to start
Because you want to go out
staying
and
open
party
late.
a little bit.
Well, we want to go home
Yeah,
and sleep.
you know us. We're big partiers. All of you.
Weren't you making like some kind of sauces or something there for
Yeah.
a minute?
Yeah.
Are you still doing that?
Yeah, we still do
So
it's
you could,
a roasted habanero sauce.
Sell those at
And
like
it's exactly
Farmers
what we
Market.
want to do is even just branch out in the restaurant itself. Like we We know that we could actually prepackage the burritos and freeze them and have them for people
And
to
have
pick
like
up.
a little bit of vegan grocery to go with that.
A little bit of grocery would be great. We can prepackage the pepper sauce. Our coffee guy actually makes a vegan caramel sauce that's amazing, and it's a long process, but it's really good. And vegans and caramel, that's something, it's kind of a holy grail thing for a lot of the vegan community. But yeah, Saturday evenings, we'd like to take a vacation someday. That's a big dream.
So yeah, right now, I mean, like I said, we have 5 people now, and they're all awesome and really invested and really hard workers. And so, just getting them trained so that maybe we can take a little time off.
So Saturday nights, back to how late are you open? Or is that started yet?
It hasn't started yet.
When is that starting?
Probably in about 2 weeks, 3 weeks.
So this will be up next week. So this.
Yeah.
So
Look
check
for
the
that
website.
announcement sometime in July.
Sometime in July. Oh,
Yeah.
okay, so a little ways down the road.
a little ways down.
Yeah.
Well, we have staffing issues, so we have
Well,
to
we
work
want
out.
to really, when we start doing the later Saturday night thing, that's where we want to start playing with things that like vegan chicken and waffles, just stuff that you don't normally think of when you're thinking vegan food, and
That
being
does sound good.
It is good. We want to play a little bit more when it comes to that Saturday night menu, so that if you're out and you just saw a movie, you're getting ready to go to a show or whatever, go to Frisch, go get something that's a little off the beaten path and cool. But
We have so much new in the past 3 months that I honestly can't wrap my brain around too much more new stuff in the future, in the near future. But yeah, I mean, we're working on the coffee stuff with Wade and getting a nice set menu of some fancy drinks and stuff like that.
But no alcohol, right? There's no.
No.
You haven't. Just the liquor laws are a little tough here in Utah.
Well, you have 2 different types of liquor permits you can get in Utah. One's a beer permit, and we've thought about that. But just knowing that it's a backwards liability state. So if somebody gets plowed at midnight, drives over that group of Girl Scouts that's walking down having their midnight hike, Utah,
It's not worth it, is the bottom line.
Utah can actually go back the entire line of people that served alcohol to that guy. So if we serve him a beer at noon and he went out to 5 other restaurants, we can get sued just like they can. I don't know.
So how are more restaurants not getting sued then, you would think?
I don't know if they are or if they're not.
I mean, I'm not saying there's a ton of accidents out there, but I mean, there are, but
I think, and that may even be an urban myth. I have no idea. It's just one of those things that you hear about and you go, I don't want to be involved.
well,
in that.
Utah does have some strange liquor.
There's some weird. We might not get a license anyway. We could want it all we want.
Yeah.
We might not get one.
Yeah.
I bartended for a long time, and I don't want to.
I don't know if the
I'm
I don't
more
know
of
if
the
call
stick
is
in the
there.
mud about that than.
If we do it, I want to make sure that it's good, organic, local beer.
I can count on one hand how many times somebody's come in and said, "Hey, do you guys have beer?" I don't know if anybody expects us to.
Yeah, we've had
We'd
a couple-
probably make money if we did, but
It's not like
too
it's
worried about
taking
it.
away business
Right,
because,
no, I
oh
don't
my
think
gosh,
anybody's
they don't
like,
have...
I'm not going there if I
can't get
can't
any
have a beer. Plus, our 14-year-old kid runs the counter, and we can let her do that if we serve booze. So
Yeah. Well, that's what I was going to say next is then you have to worry about the age of the employees
Right.
and making sure they're carding everybody.
Right.
A lot of hassles.
it's a lot. Yeah,
There's
it's
a lot
hassle.
there.
It's not worth it.
Let's also just be honest. I mean, I like a good beer as much as the next guy, but 2 or 3 beers down the line, I might become obnoxious, and I don't necessarily want to inflict obnoxious me on the people at the nice restaurant I just went to. So
When you guys have a good atmosphere in there, you got to keep that. So
it's fairly mellow. I mean, oftentimes the loudest thing in there is us. So
So how can people find you? I know you're on Facebook, right?
Yep, we are on
with us.
Facebook. We are now on Instagram.
Finally.
Finally.
we had to find one of our staff
Thank you
that
to
understood
Sean,
it.
our newest employee who's good at Instagram. I said, "You know how to do that? You're in charge of that now." So we're on
You're
Instagram.
promoted. Huh?
Yeah, exactly. I was like, that is your job to do.
You are the Baron of Instagram. now.
We do have a website, of course, frisheats.com, but there's not much going on there. Your best bet is to
it's a
go on to
redirect
Facebook.
to Facebook.
Yeah. That's the best way to find us, I guess. So is Facebook.
Yeah, Facebook's probably the easiest. I know you guys are always posting your specials
Yeah.
on there, pictures of your food that you're serving that day.
Well, that's what I love about that kind of media with Instagram or Twitter or Facebook for that matter.
Oh, we're on
is-
Twitter too.
Yeah, we're on Twitter. It's so great being able to say, here's the special, and getting the reactions from people. People get excited about the food, and it makes it part of your day. And you can check out all your favorite restaurants in the morning and see where you want to go and eat that afternoon. It's not like it was 10 years ago where you're just like, oh, where are we going? What are we going to do? Well, check out your news feed. There's probably something great waiting for you.
And say your hours again, too. I know
We are open at 6 in the morning, Monday through Friday, and we're open until 8. And then on Saturdays right now, we're open 8 to 3.
8 to 3.
And you can call ahead if you want to grab takeout, we can have it ready for you. And that's one
for
of the
sure.
things. We're really quick. It's not fast food by any means, but we've got
It's
it
fresh food fast.
Yeah, we've got it worked out to a point where if you call ahead and you say, I'm going to be by in 10 minutes, we'll have it ready for you.
And you guys cater events too, right?
We do a little. We don't really do any fancy catering. It's mostly like just large size to goes and stuff like that. But if somebody had a small event, and we just did some catering, like for our friend Nurse Kate, who's a plant based nutritionist here in town and stuff like that. So we do dabble in that. So if somebody wanted something, I'm not set up to do like a whole wedding or anything like that. But so people can email us about that too.
Awesome. And I'll find all that on the website.
Yep.
Yes.
And
as well as our phone number, which I can't remember, but it's on the Facebook.
If you just want to come in and just find out what the whole mission's about, what it is that makes a plant-based diet good. I'm not going to debate with people. I'm not an argumentative person. You do get the occasional CrossFit Yahoo who comes in and wants to yell at you because you're not getting enough beef in your system. That's not.
Do you really get that there?
Oh, occasionally, yeah.
Really?
Yeah, you get some. You get the.
We had a few.
You get the two. You get the two.
It takes all kinds of people. Yeah. How do you know a vegan?
Don't worry, he'll tell you.
Yeah.
There's truth behind that, though, right?
But there's truth about that behind anything. Yeah. How do you know if a guy's a stern libertarian? Don't worry, he'll tell you. How do you know if somebody's a great fisherman? Don't worry, he'll tell you. That's
people that are passionate about what they're involved in. I think they'd like to talk about it.
Yeah. How do you know if somebody's into Seven Dust? Don't worry, he'll tell you. It's
Yeah.
Our daughter. How do you know if she's into Doctor Who? She'll tell you.
And also, you're on Geekshow, which we didn't really get into, and I'd love to sit down with you, Leigh, another time and talk Geekshow podcast talk and have you share some of your
There's 30 years of history there. So
so I'm just thinking of other ways that people can.
Yeah, and Geekshow is so funny because everybody who's involved with it, we come away from it afterwards going, why do people? We know why people listen to us. We know because we're narcissistic enough to think that maybe people enjoy listening to the show and that we can be entertaining. But then when you see how much the Geek Show audience supports us, to see how many Geek Show people come in, and I know full well when a Geek Show customer comes in and comes in to say, hey, and try our food. And that means so much to me because you didn't need to do that. I so much appreciate it. But at the end of the day, I'm just a voice that shows up once a week and talks about boobs and comic books. And you decided that you're going to spend some of your money at my place. That means so much. Jay Whitaker, when he started doing stand up and he started coming on Geek Show, and he said, within a month or two, all of a sudden it's Geek Show crowds in his audience, and that blew him away.
Isn't it amazing how supportive a community and how that can really impact your life?
Yeah, I've had serious emotional responses at times when a guy a couple weeks back came in to the restaurant and he was only gonna be there for 2 days, and he and his girlfriend had flown in, and they've flown in from New York, and that we were on their list of places they had to stop at in Salt Lake. Wow, why?
Because of a podcast, right?
Yeah. I mean, thank you so much. That meant so much, but not in my mind am I thinking that. Because we all kind of have our own self-doubts at times about things. I'm not thinking that we're going to register on this guy's radar of the 5 places he has to go to in Salt Lake City, So, God, thanks. I love it. And I'm sure you've seen it firsthand too. It's amazing how people react to it.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
You're just this disembodied voice, but when I have a guy on the escalator behind me at the Smith's Marketplace downtown, Geek Show says, hey. I mean, it's kind of frightening, but it's cool.
It's creepy.
They're stalking you.
Or I remember once when I was working at the bank and I had to do a supply run at 3 a.m, and I'm out at a Walmart in the middle of nowhere, and this cop pulls up, puts the light on me. Geek Show says, hey, and drives away. It's like,
Wait, a cop pulled you over?
No, he pulled up to me in the parking lot.
Okay.
I was on my way to the car, and he just recognized me, And that's the other part that really gets me. How the hell did you recognize me, know? So, I know our pictures are up on the internet, but that one can be a little freaky. I think I forgot we were on Comcast for a while, but
And for people listening that maybe are living under a rock that haven't listened to Geek Show, it's geekshowpodcast.com, right?
Yeah. It's it's a bunch of drunks talking about movies, and it's vulgar. It's vulgar as hell, and I think at times
That's to put it lightly.
Yeah. Well,
But
decided,
you guys have fun together.
We have a blast.
You can hear that through the audio.
Well, a lot of us have been friends.
best friends for
25 years or more.
And again, that's why I'd love to get you on and hear some of those stories.
We had
back on the podcast.
We had a period of time where we were doing a clean edit of the show.
Oh, geez.
And so I was doing the editing, and so I was. We had an hour and 20-minute episode, and I think Shannon and Jimmy got on this boner rampage. They were just talking about boners for a while, and so I edit the show, and it was 42 minutes when I got done editing. I had cut 40 minutes out of the show. I was like, and at one point I had to cut 7 minutes out because it didn't make any sense. Because there's just so much that I had to clip out that it was like bleep, 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 and then bleep, 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 boners. But it's fun.
Yeah.
Everybody has a good time.
Anything else you guys want to share? Any other information you want to share with the lovely people of Salt Lake? Any other? I think we covered it all.
And
We talked about all the things that we love about Salt Lake.
Yeah.
Support your legislative attempts to clean up our air, because I think that is the one thing that's going to keep Salt Lake from being the best place in the world. If you want to talk about a community that gets behind its local businesses and its local movements, Salt Lake City's got it down. But there's a guy named Carl Ingwell, Clean Air Utah. These guys are in the trenches trying to make sure that the 3 or 4 months out of the year that our inversion's killing us, and I'm not exaggerating, it is killing us. I would love to see all of you out there realize that this isn't a political issue. This isn't somebody trying to take away your right to drive a big truck. This isn't conservatism versus liberalism, right versus left. This is all of us having a fundamental right to breathe clean air. And it doesn't matter if we live in a fishbowl that fills up with smog. We all need to kind of band together and realize that it's in our best interest and our children's best interests to do something about it.
Otherwise, we'll have to move, and then there won't be any more Frisch.
And there won't be any more Frisch, or my part of Geekshow for that matter. Because her health's impacted to the point where she can barely even breathe for 3 or 4 months out of the year.
It does get bad, and
it gets terrible.
You're just like, oh my.
It's the only thing I hate about Salt Lake.
And here we've got a population that is so devoted and dedicated to family, right? Well, take care of your families. Go fight for your right to breathe.
Really quickly, I mean, what's the number one thing you think people can do for clean air?
Be a giant pain in the ass to your lawmakers, and after a while, they'll start to listen. And that's really what it is. I can't remember. There was a show we were watching a couple weeks back, and somebody did something really stupid, and it caused a lot of political uproar. And they went and talked to their boss, and their boss said, "This isn't going to survive the news cycle." And that's kind of the rule of thumb up on Capitol Hill: is this isn't going to survive the news cycle. So the inversion's only really bad for a couple of months out of the year. And so that's the news for a few months out of the year.
Nobody's talking about it right now.
Nobody's talking about it right now.
Thinking about the air.
It's 85 degrees. The air is still bad. You're just not seeing it.
Right. It's just a couple of months.
So we still have borderline yellow days and stuff. So
yeah, and when we've got correlations here that we can draw, I don't have the evidence to back it up. We've got one of the highest autism rates in the country, and we've got some of the worst air in the country. And you kind of go, okay, we've got pregnant women breathing air with heavy metal particulates in it, and then we've got this huge autism rate, and we're not drawing lines, and we've got respiratory illness that's through the roof in this state. So we want to be champions of compassionate living in many, many ways, but let's take care of ourselves on a fundamental level. We all have the right to breathe clean air. So wake up and do something about it, people. There's a lot of you out there. I'd love to see you live long, happy, respiratory illness-free lives.
Well, thanks a lot, guys.
Thank you.
It's been fun chatting. So
love the show, and we'll come back anytime.
Yeah, no, like I said, I'd love to get you back on and talk more Geek Show. So, all right, many thanks goes out to Leigh and Rachel Kade for coming over and sitting down, chatting. Had a really great conversation with them. I was really excited to bring them on the podcast. I meant to have them on the show earlier when I first started doing the show, but scheduling conflicts, and so it's nice to finally have them on the podcast. And like I mentioned to Leigh, I want to get him back on the show, pick his brain, and find out more about the beginning of Geek Show Podcast. That you could find. You can find out more information about Geek Show Podcast at geekshowpodcast.com. It's a great podcast from Salt Lake City here as well. And I'm going to put all those links on the show notes for this episode at iamsaltlake.com/148. Make sure you subscribe in iTunes. That way you don't miss a single episode of the podcast. And if you haven't left a review in iTunes, That's very much appreciated. It helps boost the ratings, gets the podcast exposed to more people. And as always, feel free to share this episode or any other episode with your family and friends on your favorite social media sites. That way they can find out about the show as well. I do have a voicemail, 385-202-5926. Love to hear from you. Give it a call. Let me know what you think of the show, this episode or any other episode. Let me know what you love about living in Salt Lake. Love to get connected with the listeners. That's what helps keep the podcast going. Love hearing from you guys. Love to find out what you guys are up to this summer. Hey, if you want to come on the show, if you're doing something really cool here in Salt Lake City, if you're an artist, local business owner, a musician, drop me an email at iamsaltlake@gmail.com. I'd love to bring you on the show. Love to have you share your story with the rest of Salt Lake City. Anyways, that's going to do it for this episode. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for the support. I'm going to end it playing a song from a great local band, The Devil Whale. The song is called You Don't Need a Place to Go Tonight. That's how I'm going to end episode 148. Again, thank you so much, everybody, for listening. Thank you so much for the support. I love each and every one of you.
I've never been so scared of losing anything. I watch the planets fall apart and I'm okay. Don't ever be concerned with being understood. It won't do you any good. And I like you just the way you are. I felt